There is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades. The United States arrested a narco trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years.
During an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council, Ambassador Waltz tried to make it clear that this was not an attack on Venezuela. Instead, Waltz insisted the military force was used to capture a wanted criminal. He went on to criticize Maduro for attacks on Americans through drug trafficking and cartels, which President Trump recently labeled as terrorist organizations.
The United States wants a better future for Venezuela. We believe a better future for the people of Venezuela and for the people of the region and the world is stabilizing the region and making the neighborhood that we live in a much better and safer place.
The UN Security Council's 15-member body is split over the forceful capture of Maduro. A little more than half are condemning the decision. Russia and China are included in the UN members that condemned the move. Switzerland has responded to Maduro's capture by freezing any of his assets in the country. The Swiss government said this will prevent any assets that may have been obtained illegally from being moved out of the country. This freeze takes effect immediately and applies to Maduro and people close to him. The Swiss government did not say how many assets are linked to Maduro. It added that no current member of Venezuela's government is affected by the freeze. The freeze will remain valid for 4 years until further notice. With us now is Michael Waller, Senior Analyst for Strategy at the Center for Security Policy. Waller is a longtime national security specialist and author of the book Big Intel, drawing on his early years in the CIA under the Reagan administration. So, Michael, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Maduro and his wife pleaded not guilty to all the charges. What do you expect the prosecution case to look like or focus on?
Well, it will focus on their crimes against the United States and crimes against any American citizens. So there is a lot there in those two indictments, especially the superseding indictment, where it's a criminal conspiracy of a long time, running an organized criminal enterprise to flood our country with cocaine and to commit and sponsor terrorism.
So a lawyer for Maduro questioned the legality of his capture in Venezuela. Is that a legitimate concern for the U.S.?
I don't think it is. As long as he was read his Miranda rights, I'm sure everything's going to be okay. But when you consider you have to go in with military force to protect the law enforcement officers who are there to conduct the arrest. So it wasn't a military operation per se. It was a judicial one where even in the United States, you'll have a lot of backup to serve certain types of warrants and to arrest certain people. So it seems on the up and up to me. This was very carefully planned.
So, Michael, President Trump says the U.S. is running Venezuela for now. What's the latest you're hearing about how things are developing there?
Well, these things are transitional. First, you're going to have a lot of bluster. If they're going to be arresting Venezuelans who were supporting us, they're going to be arresting regime elements who betrayed Maduro and who are still working with us. So there's a lot that remains to be seen. Right now, Venezuela is having a hard enough time governing itself. It has its the Cubans run the whole internal security apparatus of the country. So the Venezuelans don't even run that. They never have. And you're seeing now, I think you'll see a lot more of Venezuelans becoming more and more assertive in taking back their country the way you're seeing the young people doing it in Iran.
So, Michael, it looks like some are criticizing the Trump administration for what they're calling nation building. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio has responded. I have a clip here I would like you to listen to. Take a look.
Venezuela looks nothing like Libya. It looks nothing like Iraq. It looks nothing like Afghanistan. It looks nothing like the Middle East other than the Iranian agents that are running through there plotting against America.
So, Michael, where do you stand? Do you agree with Rubio on this?
Absolutely. Venezuela is a wealthy country, and it's not wealthy in the sense of a small, cartel, oil cartel running the country. It's got a 100-year oil business in the country. It's got the largest reserves in the world. It has a huge supply of gold and other minerals. Very sophisticated, highly educated, democratic-oriented population. It was the wealthiest country in South America, so it's not going to need handouts as if it was, Chad or some other basket case country. The Venezuelans can do this on their own.
Now, another thing, Rubio mentioned what he called the Iranian agents running around Venezuela. Trump also recently warned Iran not to kill peaceful protesters, right? What message is Maduro's capture and everything that's followed sending to dictators around the world, like, for example, the Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah. Well, first is letting them know that Donald, you won't see Trump coming when he comes after you. He might say a lot, he might bluster a lot, but he's going to make good on what he does. And a lot of the things he didn't do in his first term, he's making up for right now. Grabbing Maduro is one of them, and Maduro is a linchpin for the Chinese Communist Party's strategy right now when they're finishing up their next 5-year plan. They were planning on having a stable Maduro and turning the Caribbean into a PLA Navy patrolling ground. And they were depending on Venezuela for that. So the CCP is not going to be able to project military power into the Caribbean the way it had planned to with Maduro, puppet regime there for it. There's going to be a lot that's going to be throwing the CCP off. They were buying heavily discounted oil from Venezuela and Iran, as they are with Russia, because of the embargoes on those countries. There aren't many countries that can pay for oil and not in dollars. So the CCP has been paying in yuan, which others don't really want, and you have to ordinarily pay in petrodollars. So they've been buying discounted oil in Chinese currency from Iran and Venezuela. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. And there's only so much of a squeeze they can put on Russia because Russia needs to sell its oil, but not at a huge discount. So this is going to really think of the elements inside China, the national oil companies, the coastal provinces that depend on so much refineries, the new refineries that were built specifically to refine Venezuela's particular heavy crude oil. That's all now thrown into a huge mess for the CCP to deal with. And I think you're going to see a lot of problems coming up for Xi Jinping.
And you said just now earlier that you won't see Trump coming, and Rubio actually said something similar in vain, that you shouldn't play games with this president, right? And Michael, just finally, I want to ask you this. What are you watching most closely out of all things right now as this situation develops?
Well, I'm really watching whatever the Chinese Communist Party is doing to project its power and subversion around the world. I have a particular interest in Latin America and the Caribbean, so I've been watching that very closely. We'll need to watch out for small actors like the little island country of Antigua and Barbuda, which the CCP has bought off. They built a big Belt and Road freight seaport there that's dual use for a PLA Navy. They extended a 10,000-foot airstrip that can handle any strategic airlift in the world. So these types of regimes are going to be next. So the CCP's they're going to lose wherever they're going. But I think their entire Western Hemisphere strategy has just been wrecked.
Well, Michael, it's really good to speak with you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Good to be with you.
Florida leaders have convened to celebrate a new day of freedom for Venezuela and to address the situation there and its impact at home.